The James Webb Space Telescope was anxiously awaited before its launch last year. However, now that the most powerful and most expensive telescope is already in operation, JWST threatens to turn astronomy upside down with a single discovery. The latest photos of JWST prove that the Big Bang Theory didn't happen, sending the scientific community into a frenzy. What are the latest photos of JWST? How do the photos prove that the Big Bang Theory was wrong? Join us as we dive into how the James Webb Space Telescope finally proved that the Big Bang Theory is wrong. Before we continue, like this video and subscribe to this channel to discover more unbelievable facts about our planet. How expensive can a telescope be? The James Webb Space Telescope has set a new record in this regard. In terms of working hours, the telescope muffled millions of hours, with development extending for decades. In terms of money, no other telescope approaches $10 billion. The JWST was also a nightmare of engineering, as it developed its project to fit in the rocket launch. No rocket was big enough to contain it, so the engineers had to project it to fold it into several parts. The large thermal shield doubled and had to be unrolled while it traveled to its permanent location. This was not even the most risky part of the telescope. The central piece, the reflector mirror, also had to be broken into 18 different pieces and then folded. It was quite delicate. Both engineers and scientists who worked on it literally held their breath during the launch due to the number of things that could go wrong. Completing their concerns was the fact that the JWST is literally beyond repair or maintenance. The telescope is located so far, about 1 million miles away, that it is impossible to send a repair team if something goes wrong. There is also no chance of resupply, which means that the mission ends when the fuel runs out. Compared to potential benefits, however, the risks with JWST are more than compensatory. It promises to expand our knowledge of the outer cosmos in a way that no other scientific instrument has done. As such, since the telescope was declared operational, scientists from all over the world have lined up to use the powerful telescope to study space. However, none of them were prepared for one of the first unpleasant surprises that the telescope has reserved. Just weeks after its operation, JWST developed photos that proved that the Big Bang could not have happened. The Big Bang became the gospel in what it says about astronomy. Thanks to the popularity of the Big Bang Theory success program, many people explain the origin of the universe using the Big Bang. The Big Bang Theory has its roots in an astronomer priest named George Lemaitre. He had this huge idea in 1927 that, a long time ago, the universe started as a single point. He says that the universe has expanded and expanded to be as big as it is now and that it could continue to stretch. A few years later, the famous astronomer Edwin Hubble, to whom the name of a telescope space, built on the idea of Lemaitre. Hubble discovered that other galaxies were moving away from us and the most distant galaxies were moving faster than those that were close to us. The astronomer considered this as meaning that the universe was still expanding, just as Lemaitre thought. This meant that a long time ago everything had been close. You can see, according to Big Bang, when the universe started, it was just tiny particles and hot mixed with light and energy. As everything expanded and occupied more space, it cooled. The tiny particles didn't group together and formed atoms. So these atoms grouped together and over a long period of time, the atoms joined to form the stars and galaxies that you see today. The first stars created the largest atoms and groups of atoms, leading to the birth of more stars. At the same time, galaxies were disintegrating and grouping together in a chaotic cosmic show. While new stars were born and died, other objects such as asteroids, comets, planets, and black holes formed. All this happened in a period of about 14 billion years. But what if the Big Bang hadn't happened? Although many scientists may not like to entertain this thought, since the theory has become the basis of modern astronomy, JWST does not apologize for its recent set of images. While the general public may be delighted with the stunning images produced by JWST, scientists are struggling to explain their contradiction with the Big Bang Theory. The problem with the images is that they show many galaxies that are surprisingly smooth, small, and old. But why exactly are galaxies smooth, small, and old? Do they contradict the Big Bang Theory? Let's take it out of the very small angle first. Assuming that the universe is expanding, a strange optical illusion has to exist. The fact is that galaxies or any other objects in a space that is naturally maintained do not continue to appear smaller and smaller with the increase in distance. In fact, after a certain point, they should start to appear larger and larger. If you ask yourself why, it is because their light should have left them when they were closest to us. And this is the opposite of what we observe in the non-expansive common space, where objects appear smaller in proportion to their distance. Scientists who studied the images by JWST cannot hide the fact that they show smaller galaxies. Even galaxies with greater luminosity and mass than the Milky Way galaxy are seen in these images as 2 to 3 times smaller than in similar images observed with the Hubble Space Telescope. The new galaxies also have redshifts, which are also 2 to 3 times larger. It is not expected that an expansionary universe behaves this way. The galaxies that JWST shows are the same size as the galaxies close to us, assuming that the universe is not expanding and that the redshift is proportional to the distance. However, Big Bang explains that these distant galaxies must be intrinsically extremely small to compensate for the hypothetical optical illusion. A galaxy, GHC2, is much brighter than the Milky Way. However, its calculated radius is only 300 light-years, which is 150 times less than the radius of our Milky Way. Its surface brightness, or brightness per unit area, would be 600 times that of the brightest galaxy in the local universe. Its density would be tens of thousands of times greater than that of the galaxies we see today. And if the galaxies were smooth? How does this affect the Big Bang theory? Well, for the Big Bang to be true, there must be the existence of small and ultra-thin galaxies known as Mighty Mouse galaxies. The JWST has made the problem much worse. The theory speculates that small galaxies grow in current galaxies colliding with each other, which leads to fusion as they become more scattered. To illustrate this type of fusion, imagine a magic toy car that is 1 centimeter in length, but weighs as much as an SUV. In addition, imagine that it grows and becomes a true SUV, colliding with many other toy cars. This is how the images of the JWST become problematic for the Big Bang. Even though the illustration looks amazing to start, you will at least see some of them on the windshields of the cars colliding. So the Big Bang's proponents expected to see galaxies with scars or the harsh impact they survived or passed. But to their surprise, the JWST revealed extremely smooth disks and arranged spiral shapes. There is no difference between their appearance and those of today's galaxies. The data then showed that the images contain smooth spiral galaxies, which are about 10 times more than the theory had predicted. This challenges the idea that the fusion of galaxies is common. In other words, these data attack the fusion theory. Now, what happens when the fusion of galaxies is few? What happens is that galaxies cannot grow so large without the fusion process. This means that large galaxies have always been immense and have never been small. This also means that the foreseen optical illusion, based on the expansion hypothesis of the universe, does not exist. But no illusion means no expansion. The illusion is an inevitable prediction of expansion. Let's see the very old aspect next. This is really similar to the same and very old. The JWST has numerous filters that it uses to take its images in the infrared part of the spectrum. This allows astronomers to see the colors of different galaxies. Basically, this is what astronomers use to calculate the age of the stars in these galaxies. Young and hot stars appear in blue and older and colder stars are yellow or red. Now, the Big Bang theory implies that the galaxies farther away in the images of JWST are appearing as if they were about 400 to 500 million years after the origin of the universe. However, some of these galaxies displayed stellar populations over 1 billion years old. Why nothing could have come before the Big Bang? These galaxies prove that the Big Bang did not happen. Of course, we can't have an older galaxy than the Big Bang. So, for the Big Bang theory to be true, JWST should be seeing fewer and fewer galaxies, the more it looks back. Eventually, it would stop seeing galaxies or would enter the age of the darkness of the cosmos. But researchers are demonstrating that galaxies as massive as the Milky Way are common even a few 100 million years after the supposed Big Bang. Scientists claim that the new images of JWST show at least 100,000 times more galaxies than theorists predict in red shifts more than 10. Could so many large galaxies have been formed in such a short time? This is unlikely to be true, which means that there was no Big Bang. Let's pause here and ask what happens if the scientific establishment accepts that the Big Bang theory has flaws. Should there be a new way to explain the beginning of the universe? A probable explanation is the plasma film, which has existed for about 5 decades. This process can really be explained using the common physical processes in the laboratory. Plasma is the electrically conductive gas that forms most of the matter in space, including the stars and the space between the stars. Only the relationship Hubble redshift would still need some new physical process to explain the loss of energy as light travels huge distances. One of the critical processes in plasmas that scientists identified and studied is plasma filamentation. This is the process by which the electric currents and the magnetic fields they create attract plasma to the filament's inherited system, which is visible on all scales in the universe. Plasma filamentation is one of the basic processes that led to the creation of planets, stars, galaxies, and other structures. Plasmatic filamentation is crucial in the effort to artificially develop diffusion energy. JWST is just doing its job, opening our minds to new ways of seeing the universe. It's already making scientists think about what would happen if the Big Bang had never happened. Let's hear what you think about the validity of the Big Bang theory in the comments section below.